What's going on, guys? Welcome to phase 3 of the JL build. Today we're going to be getting a lot done, getting all the suspension set, tube work done, figuring out a whole bunch of stuff, and hopefully setting up a plan for the rest of this build. We'll see you in 2 seconds. So we're going to start prepping the axles. So these are 06 Super Duty axles. I got them for relatively cheap. The guy that I got them from was starting to build them. He was going to put them under an old Bronco. So he had just done the gears, front and rear. I know they don't look new because they were sitting out in the rain for like a month, but brakes are new. I don't know if I'm going to keep these calipers. The rotors obviously have to get changed. The pads are going to get changed. We have to drill those out, and then we're going to start on the trussing process, which I've started to kind of mock together. I'm gonna start putting the Rogue bender to work. Got some mock-up pieces. I'm gonna try, I think we're gonna do something like that. Obviously this comes out this way, but we're gonna get to that right now. I'm gonna get started on prepping, I guess, the truss portion. Instead of cleaning axles and getting all dirty today, it's kind of the idea that I've come up with. We're gonna get into, I guess, progressing my idea, and we'll start the tube bending process now. I think we're gonna go with a 2-part on the tube and then blade it. Once we get that done, I don't think we're gonna jump into the full hydro yet. We'll probably leave it with the tie rod, keeping everything where it's supposed to be for the time being. So let's do some tube bending. We got our first bend. Got the tag end of the tube is at 0.2. And this side should be at 45 point. There we go, 45.2. So we got a perfect 45. No pressure, there's no pin. So I'm gonna slide it over my measured amount, which I think was 15 inches, and then do my second bend, cut it. And I think we should have our first tube, and then we could move on to our second set of, or a second stretch of tube. Okay, so got that piece bent. Obviously the ends are gonna have to get trimmed out just a little bit, or the bottom ends, which I shall show you now. The goal is to not have this thing super tall. Obviously this whole tube is gonna sit back. It's gonna be in line with the C's, but this is gonna sit somewhere about there, maybe a little bit lower. We're gonna notch the tube for the housing there, and then I'll plate in either side and give it more, I guess, tie it into the cast. Isn't entirely necessary. A lot of people get away with just doing the tube over the top, but I also don't want this to sit a ½ inch above the tube and then I have all that excess sticking out over, and then it's gonna end up interfering with the engine and all that. Right now I don't think it'll be a problem, especially since we're stretching it, but I'm gonna try to think ahead and plan accordingly for when we do the swap on the motor. This should sit somewhere about here. Obviously it'll come out to there, but I think you get the idea. I cut it close, but we should be okay. I just gotta, when I go to notch that, make sure that that notch is perfect. And this is gonna have to sit just a little lower so that I can compensate there. I think that's gonna look pretty slick. It'll be boxed in. It should be stronger than most trusses, at least the out of the box ones. And then when we go to do the mounts for the full hydro, we'll have some plates to tie into, so we can do all of our webbing and all that stuff, make sure that everything is going to be nice and supported. Welcome to the shop floor. So the last piece you saw me bend was for the rear axle. Obviously, whenever I go to put this on, I'm gonna have to make sure everything's level and then notch accordingly. And I did leave quite a bit of excess. I do believe, I have not measured yet, but I do believe that I have slightly, I don't think this pumpkin is centered. It might be offset to one side more than the other. I do not remember. It is very easy for me to check by just measuring, but it doesn't really matter right now. I'm not notching these tubes today anyways, so it's gonna be for the following portion, maybe later on in this video, I'm not sure. On that note, I should be able to, or I should have enough tube to do the cross members that I wanna do underneath the Jeep with this one stick. Do the cross member with what I have left. And then with that last stick of DOM, I should be able to knock out the rest of the arms. Hopefully by December, like early to mid-December, I should have the Jeep put on the floor, driving, flex tested, and then ready for the shakedown run. I just cut that out like right now, so ignore how rough it is. I think this is what we're cooking. I kind of like that I'm slanting it back, so I have some kind of support that way. We'll see what else I come up with. We're kind of playing this by ear. I also need to make sure that my arm lengths are gonna be where they need to be. Hopefully, I gotta call and see. I should be getting my wheels today. If I could get 2 tires mounted on those wheels and mount them onto my axles, I could kind of throw them up and mock up where I think everything should sit back here. Once I get that, I can try to play a little bit better, play more with what my where my cross member is gonna be. So my control arm brackets are gonna go off my arms, at least my lowers. So if I could get that situated with the other stuff that I need to get done, should I build around the length of my arms or build my arms around my build? Usually you build your arms around what you got and making the stretch work, but I'm kind of starting from scratch here, so I don't have to confide or hold to anything. So anyways, cross members up. Might move forward or back, but I think this is going to be the design. Next step would be to take the cross member back down, clean the brackets, make some filler plates, kind of like a support plate, so that I could kind of plate the rest of the frame around it. I don't really trust the frame to support that by itself, but that's where we're at for the time being. All right, so Patrick is cleaning up the front axle for me. He's just missing to
cut this little collar off.
Trim that cast off.
Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a blast. While he's doing that, I've been working on the transmission cross member. Factory bolts on one side, and I match it on the other side. By we I mean Patrick already cut the other frame horn off. Went like that. We're gonna drill it out, match it, plate it. I'm gonna go ahead and do some bracing similar to this, but to come from this back corner to here. Brace this to this better. For some reason I cut this first and then designed everything around that. I did it a little backwards, but I think it's coming out pretty decent. I need a design for the rear. I need to design the brackets first. My biggest issue is how far the frame comes in. The frame comes in like probably a solid 8 inches. So with the upper is gonna be tight with, like Patrick was saying, drive shafts, exhaust, the pinion coming up and down. I don't know whether we're gonna have to do a 3-link. I really wanna do a 4-link. Patrick says no space for 4-link. I wanna try to make it work.
We have full intentions of getting rid of this motor sometime down the road. So I feel like right now we're building a version 2. And then once we get the new motor in, it'll give us an excuse to chop off the front clip and tube it out from the front, make it fit better with the motor, get the motor sitting higher so that we could have a lot more room for up travel. I feel like that would be a good time to 4-link it versus right now. or we're still dealing with the stock chassis.
Regardless, we'll see what our options are.
Or it doesn't mean we're not going to try the Ford.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna try. Once we get the axle under here, either way, the lower lengths shouldn't change too much. We'll see we'll cross that bridge when we get there. In the rear, we're gonna wait to do the I'm gonna wait to plate this. So once I figure out what my upper is gonna be, we'll plate it. So we can tie this into the plate. The upper will be tied into the plate, and then my support bar, whether I go here or a little further back, I think it's gonna be here. It's gonna come up across to this hoop, and then the goal is to tie everything in with some like those quick release bungs, the ones that get bolted together and they like sandwich into each other, so everything's nice and solid and rigid and we don't have any movement. I've had really bad luck with transmission cross members where I've ripped them off. So this is my traumas. So that was my first go. I had made that and then made all the tube work and everything after that. Then I made this one, which I made a 1/2 inch too short on each side for some reason. You got that off. You cleaned this up pretty good so far. This bracket was already welded on too. I think the plan now is to disassemble the axles, or at least the front, so it's easier to rotate and clean. Then Pat's gonna go back, clean up these axles, clean up the rear. Gonna do the drill jig. Because I got my Timken bearings from East Coast. These are on the new bolt pattern 8 on 6.5 instead of the 8 on 170, whatever the hell it is. So just gotta keep on cooking. Patrick just finished welding up the cross member. Yeah! Everything came out pretty good. He had some troubles with some gaps that I left. He just wanted me to show him. We're gonna clean them up tomorrow morning and fix them up. But there were like 1/2 inch gaps.
The Grand Canyon.
Yeah. I don't know, man. You say you could fill the Grand Canyon with weld.
And I fucking did.
But that's a cross member.
It's gonna hold.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'll throw that back on after it's cooled. Front axle is almost completely clean.
I was just trying not to get the black lung, so I needed to take a break on that and work on that.
Yeah. Tomorrow he's gonna fill up all these little nicks, which were not Patrick. Whoever cleaned these axles previously, they took either a blowtorch to it or the plasma cutter, and they went to town with it and they put a whole bunch of little nicks in it.
Look at this, they almost penetrated the tube over here.
And then I think we're finally ready for the trusses. Once we throw the truss on, we could throw it back underneath, or we could throw it underneath the car for the first time and get an idea of where we're gonna put all the control arm brackets. So we're gonna be doing, I've already said this a whole bunch of times, but we're gonna be doing some kind of a stretch in the front. I don't know whether we're gonna do 3, 4, 12,
8.
And we're stretching the rear obviously too. But he still has to clean up the rear and all that.
I wish we could just snap my fingers like it's YouTube and like it's done.
We can, and it's
done.
Nah, I'm just kidding. We're not gonna be doing that. Patrick has the front axle done or cleaned. Obviously, there's still some stuff on the cast that needs to get cleaned. Pretty good. It's good enough for the trusses. And then afterwards, I'm either gonna send this out to powder, not to powder. I'm not gonna powder coat this thing. To sandblasting. They disassembled the rear down to the spindles. The spindles look pretty good, which was kind of a worry of mine. Cause I don't know if you guys know, once those spindles wear down, it's not fun to get that fixed or get them rehoned. Today, since I don't have the shop open, should be able to focus on this damn jail and not have to jump back and forth.
Where'd I put those nuts, man?
Fuck. cross members on. Worked perfectly. I was scared something might move or I made a mistake, like as per usual, but bolt holes lined up. The ones in the frame are like pretty damn exact to these bolts. We may take some knowledge from previous builds, some previous kits that they sleeved it just like they did on the factory passenger side on some Jeeps, not all of them. So if we sleeve this side, then we're gonna have to obviously open up the holes a lot more to put some kind of tube in the inside. Then it won't be as exact and it'll be whatever the size of the tube is. But I'm happy with the cross member. It's holding the transmission up and transfer case. My idea was to keep this thing flat belly, which right now it is, thankfully. Thankfully everything worked out. I was scared that the bushings were gonna compress a little bit too much in the trans mount, and that the transfer case was gonna sit a little too low back here, but it's pretty good. I know it looks very exact, but it's not. That's how much space we have. We have the axle sitting more or less where I think it's gonna go. Where the axle is there, I'm right at the length that I wanted my control arms at. To start working on designing brackets for the lowers. The uppers are looking a little tight. This is where the factory upper goes. My upper would need to be sitting somewhere around here. The way the frame sits right here, so I think this might be why other companies like Rock Crawler, or at least last I checked, use a short arm in the front instead of when they do their long arms on the two doors. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna be able to mock my arm up. If not, I'm gonna have to throw it way out to the right of the pumpkin, which would kind of set me up for the dual triangulation. But then I'm going to have to trim up the exhaust really tight to the cat on this side. I've done some educated guesstimations, and I think it'll work. It's not gonna be true dual triangulation, but I think we're gonna be pretty solid. I think this is where more or less what my arm length is gonna be like. Hopefully my joint will sit somewhere here and come down to there. If I could do that, we should be able to clear the drive shaft and then also be able to triangulate the fronts or the uppers. So if I do the uppers off of around here, it should only be about 10% less of length than my lowers. Isn't really ideal because I'm probably gonna get some pinion, maybe droop or raise. But my pinion is gonna move a lot if it's too short of an arm, which is one of the problems with a lot of the kits out there. But I'll tack those. I'm gonna make the brackets, tack them, maybe cycle the suspension up to where I think it is, because I don't have coilovers for this yet either. Or I don't have the towers on or anything like that. That's gonna be closer to the end. I've got a mock-up upper bracket, but it looks like we might be onto something here. It does look like it's gonna be pretty tight with the exhaust here, but I think I can squeeze it through here. I'm gonna have to do some kind of either V-band or something like that, and probably make like a 2-section piece here so that I can take it off without having to drop the whole exhaust if I need to take this bolt out. Usually when I do these, we do two parallel exhausts and then 2 different exits. I really wanted to make a single exit so that it's quieter, sounds a little better, rather than that raspy 3.6 sound. I'm gonna have to cut this and bring this higher, closer to the tub instead of this droop that it has. Which I was probably gonna have to do that regardless, to bring it over the top of this cross member, like so, since it's pointing down so hard. If not, I'll have like a weird bend and then coming up. And I don't like messing with the cats, because then you end up with noises that you don't want and check engine lights that you have to get rid of. But full bump, we're right in line with the outside of the engine. We're like right in between the engine and the frame, so it's going to be tight. At full flex, Obviously, everything doesn't really sit where it needs to or where it's supposed to. But if it is dual triangulation, I'm not going to be dealing with the swooping of the track bar bracket to when we do lower, go down to where it pulls off to one side or the other. Should be doing something like this, like a, what is it, like a curve, elliptical, eclipsical, I don't know, something like that. It should swoop away from the frame, or at least that's what I'm hoping, and that's the plan and what it should do. I'm just not going to be able to run as tight of a 4-link on top, but if I go wide enough on the lowers, hopefully we're good. My complication is going to be I need this to be on equal distance from the frame, and obviously the in and out has to be the same. This cross member is, I think it's an inch or 2 inches longer on one side in relation to where the transmission is, since everything's off to one side. So these brackets are not going to be the same, so I'm going to have to figure out 2 sets of brackets. A few hours later, I have my lower link bracket. It's just barely tucked in, and don't mind this, is just to take the slack out so I didn't have to use a impact gun to tighten it past the lock nut, but which will be fine. We're gonna skid this, we'll box this in on the bottom here like so. We'll tie in this top piece somehow, whether I tie it into the actual bracket here, just so there's no where for it to flex. Is just going to be an awkward one because it's a little taller on this side than on this side, so I'm probably gonna have to put some kind of a bend in it. But since I have so much room on this side because the transmission that's warm, ouch, since the transmission is off to the side about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, that means that I'm gonna have about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches less space here on this side. Essentially, we have my uppers both sides. Again, this is a mock-up bracket, and my lowers for the driver's side. Axle side will be a lot easier to set up. It's all just on the 3 3/4, 3.5 inch tube, whatever the diameter is for the 60. And then the uppers will go off of the truss. That's how I've been mocking my, so it's not perfectly centered on the axle tube here, but with the offset on the joints, it'll be fine. But that should be about 20 degrees on my lowers. 20 degrees is, I think it'll be pretty good. All right, final check-in for today. Got the lower links done, sitting at 20, the same. Upper links, again, this is like a mock-up material. I need to recut and rebend the thicker ones. This is how we're looking. I'm not sure if I'm happy with this or if I want to bring it straight out. Either way, it's going to be pretty easy to box in and tie in with the skid plate and stuff. Like I said, they're just a light tack in right now. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be able to do a 4-link on this. Front is what has me a little bit more worried time-wise. But it all worked out, so see you guys later.
As per usual, Brandon forgot to film an end to the video, and I thought this time I would make it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment. Go follow us on Instagram to stay up to date with the 2-door JL build. All of these videos were filmed last year in November 2025. We're just getting around to editing and posting them now. But thank you so much. If you guys are enjoying, please tell us your comments, your questions. We're always open to hearing from you guys. We love you so much. I'm gonna link below our Instagram, phase 1 and phase 2, so you can also go and enjoy those videos.